Hello and welcome to the Quever channel. I am Jason, your host. It's been amazing this week, as I'm stunned. When Paola died, I never thought I'd leave the house again, except for situations that were life and death, like my cancer. I never thought I'd go out for enjoyment. I never thought I'd go for the equivalent of a walk. I never thought I'd leave the house. All the stuff that went on here, all the damage to the place that needed to be fixed, I thought, you see, before Trevor passed away, before all of this came about, and I thought I had a little tiny hope in my mind, and that was that, and it was, as was planned by my mum, that when she passed away, there would be some money that she put away for me to make sure I was okay. And I thought, maybe one day, I'll go and visit my friends. Maybe one day I'll make it over to America. Maybe one day I'll visit all those places that me and Paola talked about. Of course, I had no idea how I would do that because I couldn't even leave the house. I just had this nebulous thought that this amount of money here coming in when my mum passes away, I would be able to do all these things. Something would happen. I would be able to do something I would be able to use that money in some way to get something, do something that would make my life better, make it possible for me to be free of the confines of a house. And when all the bad stuff happened and the house was trashed by others, when the damage was done outside, when the drug addicts took over next door and destroyed most of what was left of my stuff and Paola's stuff, and destroyed the entire lot. When I had to use that money my mum put away from me for my inheritance, when I had to use it instead to fix this house, to secure this house, to make things as right as possible, when I had to sell nearly everything I had, and then I was pointed out that you need to replace this stuff. This was your disabled stuff. This was all your coping strategies. This was stuff built up over years that you had to get rid of, and it wasn't your fault in that. One part of the reason I was so resistant was it would use the last little bits of what was left of the when my mum passes away, something will happen and I will figure something out and I will be able to leave the house and visit my friends and that. But I never came up with an idea of using it for that. I just recreated the safe room, recreated the safe space, recreated all the places that had been destroyed or damaged or got lost because of what happened here. Justifying it that yes, my mum would have wanted this to be used, and yes, everybody kept telling me that it could be used and all to replace all those items. But I knew everything I was using up meant that little tiny bit of thing of leaving my house was going further away. Oh, it was right that I did all this and that I recreated it all and did in my mum's name because I know she would do most of the stuff that I had. She had paid for. And then such a funny event happens. You see, when you're depressed, when you're dealing with all this long-term depression, you have little goals and fantasies and hopes and dreams because it's part of your ammunition to fight what you're dealing with. Now, as has always happened all through my entire time using, when I replaced all the items in the house and set up all the safe room and everything again and did all that, it was never a static thing. It was always going to change. It was always going to evolve over time. What works one day might not work as well, and you can't keep doing the same thing because your brain gets used to it and your brain avoids it and comes up with new triggers and so on. So you just keep going and you find out that some of the stuff that you get isn't the right kind of stuff, and you sell it, you exchange it, you find something else that will take its place. So there's got this ongoing thing. And then the very people I thought I was so freaked out about, as every disabled person is, the very people who your depression convinces you that you shouldn't be on disability. Your depression and anxiety and suffering and that causes you to think you deserve this, that you shouldn't have anything good in your life, that things shouldn't go well. And if things do start to go well, then you wait for the other shoe to drop. You wait for the cliff that you're going to fall over off the edge of. You wait for the bad things. You always expect the worst. You hope for the best, but you expect the worst. And so that talk with the very people that spend their time trying to get people off disability now convinced me of what I think everybody else already knew, that I was disabled outside my house, that I should be looking towards finding some mobility aid. Could something like a scooter work or something like that? And I was like, but I can still move my legs and that. Yes, but you don't leave the house. You can't leave the house. You can't think you're as paralyzed as someone who is physically paralyzed. You are as blind as outside your front door as someone who is actually blind. You are as disabled as any other person who cannot leave their house. And therefore you should start looking to things Why not try to find things so you can leave your house? And of course, my first idea was a car. Maybe I could make a mobile safe space. But the limitation there was always going to be with A, I can't drive, and I don't have anybody who lives close enough to be there for me to be able to make it important and useful. And I would have to get I got almost the maximum amount of mobility points that you can have for one section. That is the section about inability to plan and leave the house and that. And on the other side, the one that actually do my legs function and that's harder to prove. So they also mentioned about motorized wheelchairs and stuff like that. And then it's like, wait a minute. My brain was all totally not blindsided and not looked into any of this. And then, all of a sudden, mobility scooters came onto the radar. And I thought, fuck it. What's the worst that happens? The worst that happens is I sell a couple of items. Yes, I'm still waiting for the refund from the freaking. If I had trusted in the thingy, I would have never even been able to get this. So I sell a couple of items that weren't being used around the house, as I always do in technology situations. I rolled the dice. Do you know what I did today? I went out of the house twice. I went out at 5:53 this morning, as per that video. That audio is really, really bad, but not much I could do about that. Because I wanted to get some mayonnaise. For the first time in 5 years, I left the house. And I wasn't going from, I've got to go to a doctor's appointment, I need to create a quest and be able to survive until I make it to the and then try to make it back without too much anxiety and suffering. I decided I wanted, or going to the hospital or wherever, I decided that I wanted to just go and pick up some groceries. It's stunning. Truly is stunning. I went out to the local supermarket, and something about the same kind of I've talked about it, but the same kind of coping mechanism I got by having the VR headset on meant I felt safe enough to talk to people. Okay, so I only talked to them when I had to. And it was basically just asking about things and sorting things out. But I was able to do that. Yes, I still freaked out. I still had issues. Some parts I was holding on to the steering wheel of the thingy so hard that my hands were going white and I was freaking out. But I did it. And then later today, twice in one day, at about tea time, after tea time, I went out to get some butter because I bought some crumpets, and I thought I had butter in the house or margarine, but I didn't. And so it's funny. We've got a local shop that's okay for wheelchairs and stuff like that. So instead of going there, I went all the way around the park area, all the way around the street, visiting lots of places, just going down streets and just exploring, visiting places I hadn't in years and years. And then I made my way back and realised that the best place for me to get the food from was the same place, the one right near where I live. And so I went and got some margarine. I didn't get butter, I got margarine, but I don't care. It was, oh my God. I left the house twice in one day. That mobility scooter has made such a massive difference to me. I mean, there is. You can go on an airplane with one of those. You can go on a train with one of those. I've now got the real chance that I have a little bit of freedom. A little bit of future outside this house. It's always funny when I say I'm lucky, and I'm lucky to have the place that I've got that here, that even when I couldn't leave the house, I have all this here. Most people would think what I'm dealing with is torture. If I want to leave the house, I want to go to the local museum. I want to go to the local library. I want to visit the mall. I could go to a cinema and watch a movie at a cinema on my mobility scooter. You tell me how amazing that is. I'm just rambling now, but I'm so happy. For almost 5 years, and for most of the time before I met Paola, apart from a couple of safe places that were part of my safe space, I spent most of my life away from people and away from places and not staying in. And I can now I've got a freedom that is almost shockingly for me. I've just got to make sure that everything that I do, I can stay on my mobility scooter, because believe me, that's what being able to be on there when away from the house, it's like I'm taking the house with me. It's now I have some plans for when the refund from Pimax arrive, which still hasn't freaking come through. Oh my god, it's a debacle. It really is. But yeah. But even that can't dampen what's happened and how amazing all of this is. So I hope you all take care of yourself and are having a wonderful day, because today has been amazing. I can actually visit the local shops. Of course, there's still a limitation. It's got to be a shop that I can actually get into with it, or that I can just open the front door and say, hey, have you got this and this, and just give them some money and get them to go and pay for the stuff inside the shop. I've still got limitations. I really need to stay grounded on the actual mobility scooter when I'm out there. I'm like riding a knife edge, as it were. So bye-bye for now.